Okay, so this is my first ever tutorial, so I'm a little nervous, never done one of these before, but a lot of people ask me how I made my Cat Nun mask, and I put a lot of hard work into it. So I'm actually making a new one because my dog ate the first one. So I resculpted it, and as you can see, I've already started on the furling. And here's the funny thing. People think it's fur, but it's actually yarn. And that's what I'm going to show you today, is how to make yarn into fur and attach it to a latex or, well, any kind of mask or prosthetic if you like. It does take a lot of time and effort, but it's way cheaper. And it looks really good when you're done. So the first step is to get some yarn, and I just, get some, and you want to tie them together in a knot in the middle so that when you're straightening it out, it doesn't get all over the place, because it's really hard to comb it if you don't do it this way. I try not to do too many strands. As you can see, I've only got about 6 here. First thing you want to do, start from the ends. Here, let me move this so you guys can see. And start at the ends and just do that, and then move it up so you get all the way to the end there. And actually, before I do this other side, you're going to want a straightening iron, something you can put on a low heat. So right now I only have it on 5. By the time I'm done straightening this, or combing this, that should be ready to go. So finish combing that out. Okay, turn it around to this side. Oh, and this is just a regular old cat brush. Obviously don't use one you've been using on your cat, or clean it out at least so you don't have cat hair all up in your project. So just comb that out. Yeah, you're going to get some loose fuzz, but that's okay, because this fuzz is actually really nice to use as like a super soft stuffing, or maybe any other project you might need something like this for, so I kind of keep them. Alright, once you're done with that, now you really want it to be low heat, because if it's too hot, and depending on the fur that you use, it'll melt it really, really fast. So you just want to do light little swipes, just a few, get all those kinks out, and then give it a little bit of a brush again after you've straightened it out, just to make sure that it's nice and straight, not like that. So do this side real quick. Okay. Perfect. Alright, turn off your iron so you don't melt or burn anything. Now, here's the part that people are curious about. What I'm going to do is I prefer to use rubber cement, because it dries quick, it's not too messy, it's clear. And the other thing that I use, because these come with that big brush in there, and that can get really, really messy and really sloppy, and then you get fuzz all over the brush, and it's just bad news all around. So what I like to do is I take tweezers, and this part's a preference, just of mine. You can do it however you like for this part, but I like to have the mask slightly up so I can angle it. And when you lay the hair down, you got to think also what direction the hair goes in. So obviously, like when I get to the nose, I don't want to lay my hairs going that way, right? I want to lay them going this way, because that's how the cat's face would be. So same with the chin, the hair's got to go down and out like that. Now, to start off, I don't like, see how this is kind of just rigid like that? It's not very straight or even. I just cut the tip just a little bit to make it a nice, more smooth even edge. Okay, now here's the part I kind of learned that works so much better than the other ways I've done it. So I take my tweezers. Now I'm going to dedicate the right side as glue and the left side as, I guess, to push down on it. Because you don't want to push down on the side with glue because it'll just stick to the tweezer and, you know, mess. So right side glue, I just do a little swipe. So you got just a little bit right there. And then you just tap it on that spot that you want. Like that, make sure it's long enough to fit all the hair. Now, add that right there. Now remember, right side is glue, so left side, just push it down. Now, depending on how much glue you use, when you push it down, what's a really good indicator is you'll see that it gets clear when it's still wet. So be careful that you don't pull away on this when it's wet. So just kind of hold it down a little bit, smooth it out, give it a little blow. And as it dries, you'll see it starts to turn white again. And once it turns white, you can actually kind of tap it a little bit with your finger. Make sure it's nice and dry and even the way you want it. Now, depending on how long you want the fur, however long you want it, you want to cut longer than that because it's easier to shorten it than it is to make it, you know, longer later on. So this, my mask has got really short hair, so this is actually quite long for what I'm doing, but it gives me room to shave it later, which is what I plan on doing to even out the hair. So right now, if you see how chunky it is all over the place, it's okay, because this is just to put the hair there, and then you're going to shave it even later. So as you can see, here's that first section. Now the next section above it, you're going to want to do as close to the first edge right there. So sometimes you'll get some loose hairs, and that's okay, it happens. So it can get a little messy at times, but get that there, and then get your hair on there. Hold, remember the opposite side of your tweezers. Just hold it in there for a little bit. Now, if you feel like it's too loose or it's just not sticking enough hair, you can actually add some glue on top because it'll seep through. But just be careful that you don't push down with the one that you're using glue because, like I said again, it will stick to the tweezer. So I don't know if you can see how it's really clear, and then it'll go white and once it dries. So I don't know if you can tell, it starts to whiten up once it dries. So yeah, so you stick it on there, and then, you know, like I said, give it some length, cut it. So this process can take a long time depending on how much fur you need. And as you can see, I've only gotten a little bit of the bottom of the chin and the side done. I still got a lot to go, and it takes time and effort, but if you are dedicated and you really want this project to look fantastic, and you have, you know, the time, and maybe you're broke, because this is super cheap to do it this way, and maybe you'll come up with better methods and techniques than I did, but there's my tutorial, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks. Bye.